Welcome to another Ariaswave update. Right now we're looking at Cardano, ADA. So if you thought that this was a complete five-wave move to the upside, you'd probably be wrong because you're missing a wave five. So this is why I believe that this particular, what appears to be a bear market, isn't quite what it seems. So therefore, we have to draw conclusions that potentially there is another high to be made. And regardless of what's been said in the past, whether it's from myself or from other people on various platforms, you just got to take a look at the waves, right? And for starters, we have this move here, wave one, sharp wave two, and we have a wave three right there. Okay, where's wave five? There is none. Okay, now if you want to try and say that, potentially that was wave three there, and this is wave four and that's wave five. Well, there can be certain circumstances where wave five can be sharp, except the problem lies here with wave three. Wave three is incomplete if you look at it like this, right? So we have a correction down here, and we have what could possibly be a wave one, two, three, four, five. I mean, I just can't. And you know what? It doesn't look right. Okay. Now, I'm not an Elliotician, but there's this little thing, if you've ever read the book, called The Right Look, right? Does it look right? Now, the reason I'm posting this video now is because I've posted other videos previous to this video that explain that this is a potential scenario. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go around to a few altcoins, and I'm going to try and basically round it off with a bit of explanation. So take a look at this move and you tell me, does it look like a complete five-wave move? Right? So for me, this looks like wave three. Therefore, why would we have such a deep correction for wave four? Well, wave two was short and sharp. That's it. Okay. Now, Ariaswave is not Elliott wave, but there are certain things within Elliott wave that still apply to the waves, like alternation. Alternation is very important because it basically describes that if wave two is short and sharp, wave four will be drawn out sideways, right? Now, in this case, wave two was shallow, so wave four is deep. Wave two was short and sharp. Wave four will be drawn out sideways, right? I say this all the time, and I'm not completely opposed to Elliott wave. In fact, I've been in touch with Dave Allman, and I've had discussions with him regarding, my version of the waves, and he had a lot to say about how different people in the past, including like people like Neely, have had their own interpretations of these markets, and I believe that my interpretation is definitely well founded. So whether you like to see it that way or not, it's completely up to you. I do have a new book. You can have a look at my website if you want to know more info as to how I read the waves. But regardless of if you do or not, if you can seriously call this a five-wave move to the upside, then it's incorrect, right? Because in order to have a three-wave move to the upside, you would have had to have a five-wave move down in the previous wave that was impulsive. That never happened. This is in line with the Euro analysis, which is a delayed version of Euro analysis. I've explained that in my previous videos. If you watch them, you'll get to understand it, especially in my latest Ariaswave market update. So what that means is that we have potentially here a reversal going on. Right now, if you want to take a look at RSI, go to the weekly. Uh, we're oversold area daily, already oversold, rebounding. If you want to take a look at some candles, let's have a look at the candles. Okay, so we have, it's not quite a doji. It's not the same as XLM where you have like that doji morning star reversal pattern going on, but you certainly do have a piercing, not piercing pattern. I would say more of a bullish engulfing candle on the previous long real body, on the real body of the previous candle, with a couple of confirming candles. And this seems to be a general theme across the board at the moment. um, and you know it could be something that you might want to pay attention to. So in terms of the actual waves, for me it's mainly about a three wave move, an A wave, a typical Arias wave zigzag that basically starts off, and if you want to work backwards, this be the E wave, right? The E wave, the D wave, the C wave, the B wave, the A wave. Okay. Now, when you get to learn the waves that well, you can actually do that, right? Which means that in terms of length, this is a completed zigzag. So the patterns are clear. We have a choppy start to the move, which isn't typically, you know, isn't typical of the beginning of a bear market. It's probably more typical of a correction, right? Because if you've ever seen the 1987 crash on the Dow Jones, you'll know that uh, crashes tend to start off pretty sharp. Or look at 2020 on the Dow Jones, or look at 2020 on cryptos, right? You'll see that corrections start off sharp. Now, sometimes they can start off weak, like maybe the GFC, but in this case, we're looking at the complete pattern here. Okay, so not all five wave moves are the same, not all corrections look the same, but we definitely have some uh, measurements that indicate that this is a zigzag pattern. Okay, that means that potentially we're going to get a reversal. Now, if you look at the whole pattern in general, apart from what I just mentioned, um, let's just say we take a Fibonacci retracement from the top. I mean, we've already dropped 0.886% roughly. I mean, in terms of cryptos, that's a pretty deep retracement, but it still doesn't even touch the wave 1, 2 territory. So if we were to see a real bear market, we'd have to see something a little bit worse than that, if you know what I mean. So having such a short wave 2 correction would mean that we're going to see probably some sideways action, same as the video I posted earlier on XLM. But I just thought that this particular video is of interest, this particular crypto, is because wave 3 is uh, complete, but where's wave 5, right? There is no wave 5. You can't say that wave 3 is similar in length to wave 1, because one of the guidelines, if you're an analytician, is that if waves 1 and 3 are similar in length, then wave 5 will be short and sharp, right? But that means that you have to see a complete wave 3, which we have seen. But how can it be short and sharp from here on out? Well, that's depending on the correction, obviously, because corrections can expand. So according to Ariaswave, corrections can expand to the upside. In fact, you can get a correction that goes up like this, right? Now I just got to move this chart a bit here so I can show you what I mean. And wave 5 could be like that. All right. So that would be the A, right? That would be the B, the C, the D, the E, right? And that would be the end of wave 4, right? So there's no telling how corrections can end, right? And I give you little pieces of information every time I make a video. It's not like I'm just making one video after another telling you the same old thing, that we're expecting a wave 4 correction and blah blah blah, all that same stuff, right? Like Cardano could literally be expanding a lot higher in this last move, right? We don't know that. Nobody knows that. It could be sideways correction. It could barely make a new high. But the point is, Ariaswave basically shows you how these patterns work in terms of A, B, C's, D's, and E's, because every correction has these patterns in it. And if you don't believe me, go ahead, go look back through a chart and you tell me if you cannot see these waves, right? And if you want to know the framework as to how to do it, just go read the book. I've got a new book out. It's a fraction of the cost of what I used to charge for the course. And it really just does explain how these patterns work. Okay. So I'm not saying that these corrections are always sideways, right? Especially with these really insane volatile crypto markets. But what I'm saying is alternation does work. It is real, but those corrections can also expand to the upside. Okay. So I can make it look like there is a dominant trend that will not end, and it's not going to end right up until the point where it does end and it turns back down. Okay. So my analysis tracks all this sort of stuff. The updates track this. Sure, I might change my analysis from time to time, but I would most likely do it these days before it actually happens. Okay, so even if I was bear before, um, I'm constantly looking for evidence in other charts and I'm collating all this information together to make like a general judgment and then using individual waves to make my assumptions. Okay, so it's one of those cases of, can it happen? Will it happen? How will the correction evolve? What's the chances of the correction being an expanded correction, type 1, type 2, that type of thing, right? So this is just a very rough example of what could happen, but you know what? We could see this thing just go sideways and then barely make a new high, as I mentioned earlier. So this has definitely been one of those charts that has helped me look at the whole, a range of charts and sort of draw comparisons, comparing them together and comparing Bitcoin and just using my methodology to, try and understand what could potentially happen. But it's also up to you to do your research, right? I may have created the methodology, but you may be better at it than me at reading the charts, but you don't know how to use the methodology. I suggest you learn the methodology, right? So then you can't just turn around and say, "Hey, you didn't call it right. It should have gone higher than that. You said it will go higher." Like I've heard so many times before, and that's not my intention, right? My intention is to just try and illustrate that this is going to go up, it's going to go down, and if I change it, hopefully I give it to you in, you know, before it happens, basically. Bring you the information in a acceptable time frame, so then you can make a judgment call. So hopefully you've captured what I've tried to say here. It's actually adding on to a lot of the stuff I've said in previous videos. If you haven't watched them, I suggest you do so, because I'm actually giving clues as to how Ariaswave works throughout these videos. now that I've made it available so freely, I might as well just start dropping these hints. And I hope you enjoyed this video.